Welcome back to the Way, Truth, and Life podcast. I am your host, Brandon. Let's get into some YouTube comments real quick. Shaggy Dog says, remember the Bible had no punctuation marks, so that passage can be read in two different ways. Shaggy Dog is referring to the thief on the cross, and I'm not sure I've ever heard a different interpretation for the thief on the cross, so I don't know about that one. But, I'm open to hearing a different interpretation. Go ahead and shoot me a message, comment, something, if you want to chat about that. Lenny Joy Delosa says, I will subscribe because you only have 6 likes. Come on, y'all didn't have to do me like that. Hey, but, I'll take it. Anyway, you gotta start somewhere. I take it. I'm appreciative of even 1 subscriber. Never take that for granted. Star Dragon of Love says, thanks for reminding me. I'm going to have a cigarette. I hope you're okay over there, bruh. Genuinely mean that. Talking about that crucifixion can certainly get you in the feels. So, hey, man. But anyway, let's get into it. Today, we finally get to enter the realm of conversation of just how much evidence is there for, number 1, Jesus being a real person who really existed in history, and number 2, him actually resurrecting. So when we're talking about evidence for Jesus, I think a good place to start is to think about this from a historical standpoint. Christianity had to start somewhere. It had to begin somehow. So first, let's look at the New Testament and see what it has to say about the beginnings of Christianity. So we left off last time with Jesus being buried in Joseph of Arimathea's tomb. So what happened after that? So you have the Jewish high priest Caiaphas, and he goes to the Roman governor Pontius Pilate. He's like, yo, we heard some rumblings that this Jesus guy said he was gonna, come back from the dead. So can you please put a Roman guard over the tomb? And Pilate gives him a watch to go guard the tomb. Now, a Roman watch consisted of a minimum of 4 guards. So at the tomb, you have up to a 3-ton stone rolled over the front of the tomb to enclose it. You have at least 4 Roman guards there watching the tomb night and day, 24 hours, rotating shifts. And the tomb also has a Roman seal placed over it to signify that the tomb was under Roman authority and not to be tampered with under any circumstances. Now, the Romans took this so seriously that if that seal were to be broken or anything inside of that tomb were to be tampered with, the Roman guards who were watching it were to be put to death, so their lives are at stake as well. So the tomb would have looked similar to this, but more than likely with more than 2 guards. So what's the mindset of the apostles and the other disciples of Jesus while he's in the tomb? No one is there thinking this guy's coming back. They've all long since forgotten about him predicting his death and saying he's going to come back. They're gone. Peter, John, James, they're gone back home. They're fishing. Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed Jesus, he hangs himself, so he's gone. And the rest of them, they're just scattered about. They've just witnessed the man that they've been following for the past 3 years be killed in the most humiliating way. There's absolutely zero sense of hope right now. Him claiming to be the Messiah, they thought he was coming to deliver them from the Romans right then and there. So the fact that he's dead now, they think this is over. And that also plays into other messianic figures who came about before the time of Jesus. So other people came before Jesus claiming to be the Messiah. And when they died, their movements died with them. So to many of them, they're thinking this is another one of those same cases. So let's just real quickly run through what happens during his resurrection. So you have Mary Magdalene showing up at the tomb just to bring flowers to pay her respects. She gets there, the tomb is empty, the guards are perplexed. She turns around and sees the resurrected Jesus in physical, fully healed form. He tells her to go tell the others. Shortly after this, you have Mary, the mother of James, Salome, and Joanna show up at the tomb. They see the resurrected Jesus as well, and all of the women take off to go tell the others. Mary Magdalene gets back and she's slamming on the door of where the apostles are staying and tells them that she's seen the resurrected Jesus. Peter and John get word of this and they take off running towards the tomb. And when they get there, they find that the tomb is indeed empty. Also, somewhere in this timeline, Jesus appears to the Emmaus disciples, which is another city in the area. Jesus appears to Peter, John, James one day while they're out fishing, and they're not catching anything. They're having a rough time. And then Jesus is on the shore and tells them to make one final cast, and then they end up pulling up a lot more fish than they can even imagine. And so they get back to the shore and they realize that it's Jesus, the resurrected Jesus, and Jesus is already there cooking up fish for them. So not only did they see Jesus, Jesus cooked for them, they ate with him, they touched him, they physically saw the resurrected Christ multiple times over a span of 40 days. So Jesus finally appears to 10 of the remaining 11 apostles. Remember, Judas has hung himself, so it's down to 11 from 12. So Jesus appears to the 10 in the home that the apostles are staying at. So all of the apostles now have seen the resurrected Jesus except for Thomas. So when they tell Thomas that they've seen the resurrected Jesus, he doesn't even believe them. He's like any of us probably would be, right? He's like, I don't believe you guys, and I'm not going to believe unless I can see him with my own eyes and I can physically touch him with my own hands. So Jesus finally shows up when Thomas is there. He says, hey, you can see me. Here, put your hands in my wounds. You can physically touch me. And Thomas bows down before him and says, my Lord, my God. So also Jesus is not only appearing to just the apostles, he's appearing to all of these other disciples, which are other people that saw him over the span of this 3-year ministry that he had. So he's appearing to people all over the place, and everybody's starting to hear the rumblings that Jesus has resurrected, that he is the Christ. So you have all of these people who have seen the resurrected Christ, and he gives them the Great Commission, and that commission is to go out and make disciples of all nations. But he says, hey, I'm not going to leave you by yourselves. I'm going to leave you with the Holy Spirit that is going to help guide you and give you the strength that you need to get this job done until I come back. You have the apostles going out into the nations, spreading the gospel, telling them that Jesus Christ has resurrected, facing persecution, going in and out of prison, and all of them end up being killed, martyred, except for John. So right off the bat, a pretty strong case to be made for Jesus actually resurrecting is you see the apostles go from being a bunch of scaredy cats during the time of the crucifixion, right? You have Peter denying that he knows Jesus. You have Judas turning him in and then going and hanging himself once he realizes what he's done. You have all of the apostles scattering around when Jesus gets crucified and dies that horrific death. None of them are there waiting, expecting him to come back alive. They've all forgotten about it. They're like, man, it's over, it's done. So you have all of these dudes go from being a bunch of scared individuals to going out boldly proclaiming the gospel, boldly telling people that Jesus Christ has risen, he has resurrected, all the way to death. You also have Jesus's own brother, James, who during Jesus's entire life never once believed that Jesus was the Messiah. They thought he was full of it and they didn't care at all. So you have Jesus's own brother, James, go from being a complete non-believer to out there also boldly preaching the gospel and proclaiming that he saw the resurrected Jesus and ultimately dying as well. As if that wasn't enough, you have the apostle Paul. Paul was a Roman persecutor of Christians. He was present at the first martyr killing mentioned in the Bible of Stephen. Paul was feared amongst Christians, and he's literally on his way to Damascus to persecute Christians when he's overcome by the resurrected Jesus. Jesus confronts Paul and asks, why are you persecuting me? So Paul, after being confronted with the resurrected Jesus, stops persecuting Christians and goes on to be one of the most influential writers of the New Testament and the main apostle out there converting Gentiles or the non-Jewish believers. Paul gets beaten, stoned, thrown into prison, and he just gets right back up and heads right back out there preaching the gospel like a G. This is just a quick breakdown of what happened after the resurrection and the beginnings of Christianity and how it began to spread. You have the apostles, Jesus's brother, other disciples go from being a bunch of scaredy cats to boldly preaching the gospel. You have the Apostle Paul go from being one of the most feared persecutor of Christians to becoming a Christian and being one of the most influential writers of the New Testament all the way to his death. And you have all of the apostles going out boldly preaching the gospel, ultimately to their death, except for the Apostle John, who was the only one who dies a natural death. So you have Jesus not just appearing one time to a couple people, he appears to multiple people over the span of 40 days. They talked with him, they touched him, they ate with him, he cooked for them, and Paul writes that Jesus appeared to over 500 people all at one time. So this is not just one or two people maybe saw him, maybe they didn't. You have a massive group of people that saw Jesus over the span of 40 days. And when the apostles are going out preaching the gospel, telling people that they saw the resurrected Jesus, they're picking up steam like no other, because the same people that they're initially preaching to are a lot of the same people that saw Jesus do these miracles over the span of his 3-year ministry. So when the apostles are telling them that, hey, we saw the resurrected Jesus, they know that they're telling the truth. They believe them because they saw the miracles that he did over the 3 years. So they're picking up steam like no other. And this is the beginnings of Christianity and how it spread. And the next logical question to ask from here is, why should we trust the gospel writers? Do we actually know who wrote the gospels? And how accurate were they? That's what we'll get into next time.